Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, and then I post it up to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. Okay, I want to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They are an online therapy company. They are international. So if you are anywhere in the world, they can hook you up with an American therapist here in the US of A. And they're awesome. I just got a listener wrote in and said, oh my gosh, I got a great one. They did EMDR, they did DBT. They've really helped me with the trauma. So absolutely, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. If you don't like your therapist for whatever reason, because it's really a meshing thing. So if you don't like them, you just go back on, fill out a few questions, say, hey, I didn't like them, put me with somebody else, and they will put you with somebody else, which is awesome. Their packages are incredibly reasonable. So go check out betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. There we go. Okay, so before we dive into the topic, little public service announcement. I wanted to do something that's been coming up for a lot of my clients and a lot of listeners. So social media. Okay. People are comparing themselves to what they see on social media, and it's damaging because they'll talk to me or they're a client, they come in, we start discussing this, and they start comparing themselves to what they're seeing on social media. So for example, men will see stuff on social media and they'll start getting body shamed because they're seeing these guys that are, cut and working out and, also have a full-time job and this, that, and the other thing. Women, same thing. Women that are mothers are getting shamed because some of these social media people have got, tons of kids and the house is clean and they look put together and this, that, and the other thing. What you guys are not seeing is that those social media personalities are showing you what they want you to see. You're not seeing their everyday life. You're not seeing the 2:00 in the afternoon meltdowns from the 2-year-old. You're not seeing the fact that this person who's incredibly cut is being paid to work out 6-8 hours a day, every day, and, has got a sponsor or whatever. Do you see where I'm going with that? So what is seen on social media, you literally cannot believe everything you see. The women that have got the 20 million kids, the perfect house, the perfect hair, this, that, and the other thing, what you don't see is they probably have staff. They probably have somebody cleaning the house for them. They've got a beautician, they've got nannies, when I lived in LA and I was working in LA as a hairdresser, every single one of my clients that was in the industry had a nanny. They had somebody that helped them with the children. They weren't doing it all on their own. So if somebody's got 100,000 million kids and they're saying, oh, I'm doing it all on my own, they're either lying or they've got a nanny, or do you see where I'm going with it? Or they've got help somewhere, okay? Family members, friends, whatever. Especially with kids. Oh my gosh, it's like herding cats. I love them, but it is like herding cats. So the point is you cannot believe everything you see on social media. And so what I tell my clients or anybody that's like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling horrible about myself. Okay, you got to stop watching it. You got to stop watching the stuff that's making you feel awful, because 9 times out of 10 is not even true. So, you're not seeing what's going on behind the scenes. You're not seeing their everyday life. And the same thing goes with reality television. It drives me crazy when I have people sit down and they're like, oh, I'm obsolete, I'm old. Whoa, 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 whoa. Where'd you get that ageist thing from? Well, it's, everyone's worried about turning 30. And I'm like, you're still a puppy. You're 30. You got a long time ahead of you, God willing, and the creek don't rise. You know what I'm saying? So it's this whole idea that, you're not good enough. Do you hear where I'm going with that? What does that sound like? Not anything good. So if you are watching social media and if it is making you feel awful, it's like that old song that was like a graduation commencement. Don't read beauty magazines. They'll only make you feel ugly. It's the same thing. briefly, I'm going to tell you a little story. I had a Playboy model come in when I was working as a hairdresser in LA, and she was so proud of her spread. And I know I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. And so she came in and she had her spread. She was showing everybody. And I swear to you, I looked at the spread. I looked at her. I looked at the spread. I looked at her. I looked at the spread. It didn't even look like her. I would never know that was her. They had done all of the, shaping and this is before Photoshop. This was back in the early 90s. So, it didn't even look like her. And then she told me and she was beautiful. Don't get me wrong. She was beautiful. But then she told me all of the plastic surgeries she had to stay relevant in this bizarre industry that is the entertainment industry. I mean, she'd had cheeks shaved and chin implanted and nose shaved and, boobs done and hips done and buttock implants and liposuction. And I'm just like, oh my, how old are you? 21. What? Yeah. So no, with a side of no and an extra helping of no. And the scariest part of it is that her breasts were rejecting the implants. This was right around the time that the whole problem with the silicone breast implants was happening. And she's like, yeah, they're getting really hard. And I just don't understand. And, this, that, and the other. And she was talking about that. And I'm just like, oh my God, girl, get them out, get them out, get them out. So yeah, don't read beauty magazines. They only make you feel ugly because it's a comparison to something that is not real. Same thing with social media. If you're seeing somebody who's like supposedly got their crap together and yet they have all these kids or, their perfect body, you're not seeing what they're doing to get that. I was reading an article yesterday about body shaming in men and how the MCU has been really hard on the average Joe because all of these guys, when they talk about their workout routines, especially Hugh Jackman, he goes above and beyond, crazy, dangerous, not healthy, to get that ripped, cut body. He literally would dehydrate for 36 hours before a shirtless scene. He would work out, and then dehydrate and to do the shirtless scene so that the veins were popping. And I'm just like, that's dangerous. So, and these guys are doing literally 8 hours a day working out, different body groups, muscle groups every single day. That is their job. The average person who is working at a desk, cubicle, whatever, we're not getting paid to work out 8 hours a day. That's not going to happen. I mean, we can hit the gym as much as we want, but literally it takes 8 hours a day hitting different body groups, body muscle masses to get the superhero body. Male, female, doesn't matter. So if you're watching something and it's shaming you, stop watching it. Just stop watching it. It's not real. Which then leads me into this next topic. Whew. So now we're going to talk about why aren't I over them yet? And believe me, this kind of connects because the person we fell in love with wasn't real. It's kind of the same thing. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that. So why is it so insanely hard to let go of our abuser? Okay, so there's so much going on. I hope I can cover it in a half an hour. So think about what happens. Abusers look for people who are empathic. They present to us the way that they think we want, right? Oh, you like, it's like Hans and Anna in Frozen. You like ice cream? I like ice cream. You like pizza? I like pizza. You like, they mirror us and they make us believe that we have found our quote unquote soulmate. This is what they do. So it's kind of the fantasy bond. We want to believe the best of them because that's how we are. That is how healthy, normal people are, is we want to believe the best of people. But what happens to us is we fall in love with their potential because they've shown it to us. They can fake it. They can do it for an incredibly short amount of time. So they can fake the mirroring. They can fake all of the good stuff that we value and like and, that whole thing. But they can't sustain it. But then that hooks us. That hooks us with this illusion of this person that is kind and caring and funny and gentle and loves their kids and, would be a good mom or a good dad or, whatever. So it's an illusion. It is the fantasy bond. Literally, there is a book on it called The Fantasy Bond by, I think it's Robert Firestone. Great book. Read it because we fall in love with the potential because we've seen them do and be the way that we wanted when they were in the love bombing phase. And that hooks us like a fish. So we get hooked. So then when they flip and they start doing the devalue and the discard, it is literally like cold water to the face, ice water to the face, slap in the face, whatever. It is like this, what the, and it's unbelievable because you're like, wait, no, this is how you were. This is who you are. And it's like, no, now they're showing you who they really are. And it is, I can't even describe it. It's worse than a 7.2 earthquake. It is like every natural disaster happening all at once in your head because they've been using your brain as a playground. So they do the gaslighting, they do the lying, the cheating, the stealing, the flipping the script, rewriting history. The come here, go away, come here, go away, come here, go away, that whole thing. And it messes with your mind. So when they finally do the discard, the devalue and the discard, and they start putting you down for all the things that they said they loved about you, what a head trip, and not in a good way. Some head trips are good, but this one is not. This is not a good head trip. This is a bad head trip. So it's the cognitive dissonance. It's the, well, wait, no, you're this way, but you're doing this, and you can't accept it because you want to believe so badly that illusion that they sold you in the beginning. So let's talk about complicated grief. So when these jackwagons, kindest thing I can say for them, pull this kind of utter, they do the devalue, the discard, we get away from them, right? It is really insanely hard to heal. It is not impossible, but it is hard. And what makes it hard is that usually, not always, but usually the abuser will do this continued hoovering, oh, baby, I'll change. Everything will be different, blah, blah, blah. And so then we want to believe the potential. So we run back and then the love bombing starts for a very short amount of time. Every time you go back, the love bombing gets shorter and shorter and shorter. It takes on average 7 times leaving, on average. That means 50% above, 50% below, to finally make the clean break and get away from these people. So it's so hard because we've got that empathy. We've fallen in love with the potential. We could possibly be codependent. Wanting them to be okay. I can fix them. Love will heal them. No. Love is not going to heal them. I wish. Wouldn't this be a wonderful world if love was enough? It would be fantastic. I could retire and finally go live by the beach. That would be awesome. But it's not. Love is not going to heal them. They do not feel the way you and I feel. They don't have empathy. They don't really truly care about anybody else. It is me, I, more my genitals. That's all they care about. So when that happens, we're dumbfounded. We're shocked, like literally shocked. Like I said, every single natural disaster happening all at once, because it's like you're mind blown. Like what? They will say the most horrible things. They will do the most horrible things. And then they'll wait. And then they start hoovering. And the wait could be anywhere from days, hours, days, weeks, months, to years, decades even. I have seen them try to hoover after 20 plus years, which I'm just like, really? Usually what happens is they run out of everybody else. So they're going back through their little black book. Boy, I'm dating myself on that one. But they're going through their little black book, trying to find a previous romantic partner that they can, hook back into the system and get narcissistic supply from. So complicated grief plays into this because basically they have put a hand mixer in our brain and started stirring and doing the discard and the devalue and the gaslighting and the lying and the rewriting history and the love bombing and the hoovering and this, that, and the other thing. So please don't beat yourself up. This is hard to heal from. It's not impossible, but it is more challenging than if it were a healthy breakup. So there are such things as healthy breakups. So, for example, you're dating somebody and you realize, I really love this person, but we're just not there's just not the right chemistry, or it's just not working, or their values are different, or they don't want kids and I do, or they do want kids and I don't, or, and then you amicably, I know it's what a weird concept, amicably break up. Those do occur amongst healthy people. Those do occur. Does it hurt? Yeah. Do you miss the person? Absolutely. Is there any of this longing and, you know, desperately wanting to connect back with them or falling susceptible to a Hoover? No, not really. Because in a healthy breakup, you guys talk it through, you realize you're not meant to be, and you let each other go. You are released to the wild to go find your happiness or whatever. And there's no recriminations, there's no nastiness, it's just, hey, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. Believe it or not, there are some divorces that go like that. So, which few and far between, but yeah, that does happen when somebody is healthy. With an abuser, however, they are all ego. It can never be their fault. And if you throw kids into the mix, this makes it really hard to heal because you're constantly seeing them. They're constantly coming back into your life. They're constantly, there, right? Okay, let's say there's no kids, okay? And again, the whole key is they're always there, always there, always there, right? If there are no kids, do you want to know where they are? Right up here in your head. So with an abuser, when they finally discard us, or we leave, or they leave, or whatever, because of the cognitive dissonance, because of all the gaslighting, because of all the lying, because of all the manipulation, because of all the things that they do, we ruminate. Oh, Lord, do we ruminate? If I had done this, and if I had said that, or, if I could just have twisted myself into this pretzel, then maybe they'd still be here. No, hun. No. You cannot fix them. You cannot fix them because you did not break them. And because of the codependency, we have a tendency to ruminate and boil that over and over and over in our head. Like, oh, what about this? And what about that? And what if I said this? Or what if I did this differently? Or what if I gave up my job? Or what if danger, Will Robinson, danger, don't do that. So then you throw the complicated grief on top of that. So, oh Lord, there is so much going on in recovery here because there's so much going on in the abuse. So it's really important to get with a good trauma therapist. I cannot stress that enough. Get with a good trauma therapist, because they need to understand the whole PTSD, CPTSD thing. You have been gaslit. You have been lied to. And that's why it's making it hard, because that little kid inside of you wants to believe them and wants to believe that you are the answer, that you can love them into health. And you can't. You can't. I wish you could, but you can't. So let's talk about complicated grief. Complicated grief is finally, took them long enough, welcome to the 21st century, being recognized by the DSM group, okay? So complicated grief is where it goes on for a longer amount of time than with a quote unquote normal grief. So let's define this, shall we? Normal grief, the most intense part of the grieving process is in that first year, because you have to get through all of the firsts. So if you've got your abuser living up here rent-free in your head, it's really hard, even after all of the firsts are gone, because that person is the first thing on your mind in the morning and the last thing on your mind at night. So in healthy grief, in the most intense part, it's a year getting through all the firsts. So that first year, you have to get through the new normal, right? This person is gone, right? In the second year, it's, okay, now what? Okay, I've gotten through all the firsts. I'm going to have to come up with a new way of doing all of the holidays, or thinking about what happened or whatever. And hopefully in this second year, you're working on the abuse. You're working with a trauma therapist with the grief and the abuse so that you kick them out of your head so that they're not the first thing on your mind, first thing in the morning, last thing at night. The third year then kind of becomes, in healthy grief, becomes the new normal. This is the way it's going to be. This is the way I'm going to do things. They're starting to become a distant memory, right? Or not a distant memory, but it's not that intense grief, okay? Because of the abuse, because of the codependency, because of the way that they treated us, we have a tendency to keep bringing them back up. So we keep bringing them back up, we keep bringing them back up, we keep bringing them back up. And that keeps stimulating all the things in our brain, right? That create the thought of continuing to think about them. It's a way of keeping them close without actually having to be with them. I know it's weird, but that's what we do. And we do that in normal grief too. When somebody dies, we start, oh, hey, this was their favorite food, or hey, this was something they did that they really liked. And it's a way to keep them relevant or up here and current and close to us, right? So it's kind of the same thing with complicated grief, but it's unhealthy. It's a maladaptive way of fixing the person. So for me with my dad, I realized, thank God through my good therapists, that I was angry at my dad and I continued to stay angry at my dad as a way to continue to try to fix it. Because the little kid inside of me was like, damn it, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to make it right. I'm going to, okay, thank you, little one. You can't. So it's really important to work on the Inner Child Workbook, either by Catherine Taylor or by Lucia Cappuccioni. It's really important to get CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. It's really important to go through the grief and acknowledge it, but don't make it pretty. Is what I'm trying to say. Because a lot of people kind of minimize the abuse. A lot of people kind of, oh, it wasn't that bad, or gee, look at all the great things about them when they were love bombing. So you definitely want to write things out. This is where writing it out is going to help you. So when your brain starts taking that lovely little trip down memory lane and going, oh, but they were wonderful. Okay, they were wonderful in the love bombing phase. How was it afterwards? How did they treat you? When they revealed themselves for who they were, what happened? Write all of that out. It takes a long time to punt them out of our heads because of the nature of the come here, go away, come here, go away, come here, go away, the gaslighting, the rewriting history, the literally taking an egg beater to your brain and up is down, black is white, green is yellow, everything else. You know what I'm saying? So it's the cognitive dissonance. It's all of this stuff. Plus the fact our inner child is trying to fix it, especially if they reminded us of a family member. So you got to work with that inner child and be like, nope, we're not going to think about them. So it takes longer to get over them because there is more damage than if it were a healthy breakup, which does exist. So what to do if the first thing that happens is they pop into your head? You're going to have to do thought stopping. You seriously are. So for example, after my dad and after I realized what I was doing, and I would start to get angry or I'd start to think about him, I'd have to be like, oh, hi, dude, guess what? No, y'all are dead. Y'all are dead. Bye-bye. Go pound sand. Have fun in hell. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. So in that case, he was already dead. Now, for somebody who is alive, when they pop up, you have to acknowledge it. Yep, I hear you and I see you, and you are irrelevant. You have nothing to do with my life, and I don't want you to have anything to do with my life. Even though the inner child might be going, but, and you have to go, honey, no, they are not healthy for us. Send them on their way. So you have to kind of remind yourself, what did they do? How did they treat you? And this is why it's so hard to let go, because we're empaths and we're also codependent and we want to heal them. We want to fix them. We want to fix whatever happened in the family of origin. We want to do all of that. So it takes a long time to get over it. 3 years is what I say, because it's like with a healthy breakup, I would say probably a year, because it's kind of like it was healthy. You guys left on amicable terms. You came to grips with it. Everything's good. With an unhealthy breakup, they lie. They tell you it was all you. They lie to you about who you are. And that inner child is just taking hits like nobody's business. And so the inner child is like, but, wanting to fix that, wanting to express that, wanting to heal it, wanting to work it through, etc. That's why I'm saying get with a good trauma therapist. You don't need to be fixing it with them. Fixing it with the abuser is never going to work. So that's the reason why you're not over them yet. So in the first year, it's going to be, okay, they're not here. We've broken up. Oh my gosh, they're hoovering me. Wow, leave me alone so I can heal, you jerk. You know what I'm saying? And then the second year is like, okay, now I'm going to create new traditions and I'm doing all of that. Third year is going to be making sure that when they pop up, you're just sending them on their way. They are irrelevant to your life. They are never going to change. And I suspect that that's part of what makes it so difficult, because we want them to change. We want them to be healthy. We want them to love and to feel and to be quote unquote normal, and to not be jerks, basically. So yeah, you're going to have a harder time letting go. So this is where detachment is hugely important. Radical acceptance, Tara Brach. Radical forgiveness for yourself, and that's by Colin Tipping. Radical self-forgiveness by Colin Tipping. Radical forgiveness for the self, because we tend to blame ourselves. So in fact, this is a topic that I will be talking about on Tuesday in the seminar with Susanna. I'm going to be covering, self-forgiveness, because boy, howdy, do we beat the living crap out of ourselves. And I want to talk more about why it's so sticky, why things stick so much when we're with an abuser, and that you're not crazy, basically, which is good to know. So yeah, healthy grief is a lifetime process. I still miss my grandmother, plural, not plural, one. I miss one of them. The other one can go pound sand. But, my grandmother, I miss her a lot. She was awesome. And I think about her. I don't tear up like I used to, because it's been a long time. But, grief is a lifelong process. And yeah, every once in a while, that person will pop into your head. But when they do, you have got to send them on their way. You don't need to invite that thought in for coffee. You don't need to play with it. You don't need to do the what ifs or the if onlys. So that's another reason why the grief is harder to let go. Getting over them is harder to let go, because we do the what if onlys. Well, if only they were sane, if only they got help, if only they were, willing to work on themselves, if only they were, I did the same thing with my dad when he died. So, yeah. So, okay. All right. How are we doing on time? We are doing good. So let's just recap here. It is harder. It is not impossible. When the abuser pops up into your head and you want to start ruminating about it, you acknowledge the thought. Thank you. I hear you. I see you. I am not playing. We are done here. You're out of my life. Bye-bye. Another thing that you can do is you can go, they weren't real, because they weren't, because this whole, mirroring stuff, that wasn't real. They were an illusion. It was the fantasy bond. Oh, there's my favorite fantasy. Wow, that's awesome. Thank you for playing favorite fantasy. You know what? You weren't real. I am not wasting one more second on you. Go bye-bye. Go pound sand right when you get work. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Do you see where I'm going with that? It's like the thoughts are going to happen, but you don't have to invite them in. And another good thing to do is to work on self-esteem. Remind yourself of your worth. Remind yourself that you did not deserve any of the lies, any of the discard or the devalue or the nastiness or the gaslighting or the rewriting history or the cheating or the stealing or any of that. So Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. Fabulous book. The other thing of it is write them a goodbye letter. Like a goodbye letter, like goodbye. So the good, if there was any, there may not have been, but if there was, okay, the love bombing phase. Wow, in the beginning, you made it sound like you liked everything I liked and that we were the perfect match and this, that, and the other thing. The bad, oh, and your mask started to slip and you started to get hypercritical of everything I said and did. And the ugly, the devalue and the discard. And then you started calling me names, and then you started cheating, and then you started stealing, and then you started rewriting history, and then you started a smear campaign, and then you started, do you see where I'm going? It's like you kind of got to go through all of that. And at the very, very end, you take your power back. Okay, you know what? I grieve the loss of this illusion. That's what I miss. That's what I wish was still here. I do not miss all of this. And in fact, all of this is who you, abuser, really are. So, you know what? You can just go pound sand, mother clucker. You know what I'm saying? Not my coop, not my poop. It's up to you, buddy. This is all your stuff, not mine. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. I'm taking my power back. Get out of my head. I'm raising the rent. You're not allowed here. I'm filing a restraining order with the angels. You know what I'm saying? And you just punt them out in that letter. Trot it out to the barbecue. Read it out loud once. Burn it. Let it go. That's going to help your brain kind of go, oh, okay, this is done. We're done. Yeah, period on that sentence. Okay. Because you're never going to get closure from them. And that's part of the reason why it takes so long, because there's never that, thank you for this relationship. It just didn't work out. I wish you well. There's never any of that, ever. It's not real if they do. So, because then they come back and start recriminations and everything else. So basically what it is, you write the goodbye letter, you make sure that they're evicted from your head, you trot it out to the barbecue, you burn it. And you do that as many times as you need to until it kind of clicks. I wasn't in love with the real person. I was in love with the illusion. Wow. And the illusion was amazing. They did a great job of mirroring, which is why I keep saying, can you guys see how amazing you are? Seriously, they mirrored the best of you back to you. So you kind of fell in love with yourself in a way. They were just pretending to have the same qualities that you did. So, wow, dude, you showed me the best of me and I fell in love with that. And that's who I am. That's not who you are. So the real you is the one that did all these horrible things. So go pound sand and have fun with that. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. So that's what you're going to do. And that's why it makes it hard, because you have to really allow yourself to see you fell in love with the mirroring of you back to you. It was an illusion. They were not that. You're that. You're awesome. They're not. So, okay. I think that should cover that. So that is why it is so hard to get over them, because we're dealing with all of these multifaceted things going on in our brain, cognitive dissonance, the devalue, the discard, the shock of the mask slipping, all of this stuff going on. So anyway, again, I will be covering more about this in the seminar on Tuesday. So John, pretty please, sweetheart, darling, if you could put those, oh, you did. Okay. Never mind. So it's you can either go to chrisgodinas.com and go to the events page, appearances page. He also put the direct link to Susanna's link to get to the seminar. It's going to be on the web, all that sort of fun stuff. Okay. All right. I think that's it. So I hope that answered your question. That is why it takes so long to get over them, because there are so many things going on psychologically. Your inner child got triggered. They lied, they cheated, they stole, they gaslit, they rewrote history, they messed with your mind, cognitive dissonance, up is down, black is white, green is yellow, and that messes with you. And grief is hard anyway. The first 2 years suck for any grief. But with complicated grief, it can be 3 to 5 years trying to work stuff through. So that's what I'm saying. Get with a good trauma therapist. Start doing the books that I recommend. Start really cutting yourself some slack. This is an abnormal situation. Healthy people don't act like this. Healthy people don't seek to destroy others. So there it is. All right, let's get to the questions. Oh, actually, one thing I did want to read, Psychology Today. So what everyone should know about prolonged grief. Okay, so it's finally, they're being accepted by the DSM. So prolonged grief is where it's super intense, overwhelming, and that's how we feel. They finally gave a formal diagnosis on the DSM, which is good. So getting a proper diagnosis helps. Psychotherapy, obviously, somebody who specializes in PTSD and bereavement, trauma therapist. They say medication. I'm going to say no on that. So I honestly feel it bothers me, because in our country, it seems like grief is treated as if it's abnormal. If you ever notice that. So when I was working at the grief clinic in Scottsdale, the New Song Center, we literally had a person whose child, And her employer, after a week, was telling her to stop crying. I'm like, okay, narcissist, jerk. I mean, so our relationship to grieving and death in this country is really screwed up. So it's really important to allow yourself to grieve, because you are grieving the loss of the illusion of the person you thought they were as opposed to who they really were. So allow yourself to grieve that loss. They were mirroring you back to you, and that person was great, but the real them was not. So Robert Firestone, The Fantasy Bond, great book. Highly recommend it. That's going to help with the grieving process. Connection. It can leave you feeling detached from other people, and especially if you've got flying monkeys doing their thing. Find your support group. Find the people who are going to support you and understand grief. If anyone in your circle does the whole, oh, it's been a year, get over it, you kick their hiney to the curb. Absolutely. And go no contact, because they've just shown you who they are. So, and especially if after you've educated them about what grief really is, grief is lifelong. Grief is lifelong, but the most intense is the first year. So if they're like, oh, you need to get over it, you need to suck something like an egg. Okay. Thank you. So kick them out, kick them out, kick them out, kick them out, kick them out. Boy, I wish I could swear. I can't, but you know what I was saying. So, anyway, okay. All right. And then this one says remembrance, but this is for normal, intense grief, that you want to have something to honor them with. In this case, you want to have something to remind yourself that they lied to you, that they were not real, that what you loved was an illusion, that this thing that you fell in love with was mirroring you back to you, and who they really were is all of the horrible things they did to you. So you need to write that stuff out. You need to allow yourself to grieve, and it's going to be a lot of crying, and it's going to be a lot of anger, because you got hurt. Remember, anger is not a pure emotion. Love is love, lust is lust, happy is happy, sad is sad. Anger is driven by the fear of being hurt. All the vulnerable emotions, it's the bodyguard of those. So allow yourself to, you're going to get angry, but then connect with what's underneath it. And what's underneath it is usually the betrayal. So there it is. And that's why you're not over them yet. That's why they ruminate in your head. That's why they run around in your head. That's why you think about them all the time, because it's an abnormal situation, and because it's hard for the internal child, the inner child, to reconcile that you didn't love them, you loved the illusion. So that's what you're going to work on. So there it is. Whew, that was a big topic. All right, let's dive into the questions. Let me make this bigger. There we go. Is it common for narcissists to hound down their targets when they go no contact? Oh, yes. Let me answer this part of it first, and then I'll answer the second half of it. So when you are dealing with an abuser who is a dark triad, which means narcissistic, psychopath, Machiavellian, control freak, they are the ones who stalk, and they are dangerous. They are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, like cuckoo, 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 like crazy, like totally professional term, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They are just, wah! Yeah, because they're all ego, okay? And they're also antisocial, meaning the laws don't apply to them in their head. They truly feel like they can do whatever they want, and they're smarter than the cops, and they're smarter than you, and they're smarter than everybody. And I'm going to get you. You hurt my ego. I'm going to get you. And so they stalk, they cyber stalk, they physically stalk. They're the ones that gather the flying monkeys, do the smear campaign, try to harass and make your life miserable. If you have one of those, you are going to get a restraining order, okay? First of all, you're going to document everything. Document everything, all the cyber stalking, all the physical stalking, get witnesses. You're going to go to your local court. You're going to file a restraining order, okay? Or an order of protection. It's called different things in different states. So here in Arizona, if it's not a marriage thing, it's an order of protection. If it's just a stranger, you're not related to them, no marriage, blah, blah, blah. You have all your evidence with you. You're going to fill out the form. You're going to hand it back into the clerk. They're going to take you up to the courtroom. You're going to get it that day. So it is, in some cases, harder to get a restraining order. But if you have a whole bunch of evidence, like they're cyber stalking, here's this note, here's that note, here's what they've said in this email, blah, blah, blah. Most judges are going to be like, granted, we're done. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take it to a process server, and you're going to pay them. I think it was like $80 or $100 to have it done. You're going to pay them, and you're going to give them all of the information they need to find them and serve them. So once they've been served, you'll get a notice back that they've been served. What a lot of these creeps do is they think they're smarter than the judges. They think they're smarter than the attorneys. They think they're smarter than you. They'll try to fight the order of protection. Now, here's something, and it drives me crazy when people don't listen to me. Do not contact them. Do not respond to them, okay? Once you do, you've broken the order of protection, and you've shown that you're not that afraid of them, and the judge will have a really hard time reinstating an order of protection. And then they've got the evidence they need that you're not serious. Do you understand where I'm going with that? Now, remember, I'm not an attorney, but this is basically what I've seen over and over again, where the target of abuse gets hoovered, falls for it, contacts them. Nobody's going to believe you if you keep saying that they're harassing you. If you continue to contact them, you've got to go no contact. It's got to be no contact. You get the order of protection, and then you report them to the police. Now, this is where it gets sticky. Some police officers clearly don't know the frickin' law, because I've had some of them be like, oh, well, I'm not gonna file a report. You go over their head, you leave footprints on their scalp, you ask for somebody higher up, and you get it filed. If they have broken the order of protection, if they have contacted you in any way, shape, or form, if they have come closer than 500 feet to you, if that's what it is in the order of protection, you call the police every single freaking time, and do not take no for an answer from some of these jackwagons that are on the police force. Because remember, narcissists are attracted to positions of power, and some of them are police officers. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, you're going to call every single freaking time. Okay. I'm sorry, I totally forgot what I was talking about here. Do they hand down their targets after no contact? Yes, because their egos cannot stand it that you've gotten away, that you're not playing. Because remember, when a narcissist has a favorite target, that's their favorite target. And then if the favorite target goes away, well, now they've got to find another supply. If you're not responding, you're not playing the game. They're not getting the narcissistic supply. So yes, they will hound and hound and hound and hound and hound, hoping that you're going to respond back to them. Do not. Get evidence of all the hounding. Get evidence of all the phone calls. Get evidence of all the text messages or emails. Take it to the court. Get an order of protection. And then follow up with calling the police every single time and demand that they write it down. There you go. So there's that. Okay, let me get the second half of this. I went no contact with a narcissistic family and didn't feel any guilt at all, but they wouldn't even let me get over them. Yes, that is exactly it. Because here's the thing. What narcissists will say, and I have heard them say this, love me or hate me, just don't ignore me. My dad used to say that all the damn time. So yeah, love me or hate me, just don't ignore me. And so when somebody goes no contact, it drives them crazy. So you just keep no contact. Block, ignore, block, ignore, block, ignore. Get all the evidence together, restraining order. Boom, done. Will they continue to do that after the restraining order? Yeah, I had one that was completely insane that continued to try to contact through family members and this, that, and the other thing. And I finally had to be like, you realize that every single person you're getting to act on your behalf is going to go to jail, right? It stopped. So, but do you see where I'm going with that? So it's, yeah, they're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So yeah, they need the narcissistic supply like the rest of us need oxygen. My difficult husband is really trying not to rage, be generous and nice, but I'm feeling an angsty energy from him today. How do I know if it's him or me? People are moody, including me. Okay, so here's the thing. Raging is not normal. Raging is not normal. Normal, healthy people do not rage. Do they get angry? Yeah, for sure. But when you're angry, you name what you're angry about. It's not the you guns. And it's not this crazy, over the top, raging, throwing things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So angsty energy Okay, well, I don't know because I'm not you and I'm not your husband. Could it be coming from him? Maybe. Could it be coming from you? Probably. Why? Because if things are calm with somebody who rages, we sit there and we wait for the other shoe to drop. We do because that's what we're used to. And so we're waiting for the catastrophe. So I strongly suggest that you start working on self esteem and boundaries. Boundaries with The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker, the Self Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. Take very good care of yourself, write things out. Um, if this person is just got fleas, okay, like they had family that did this kind of thing and they're working on it and they're not raging, okay, that's great, and they're continuing to grow, that's great, but actions speak louder than words. So if they go for a period of time and they're good and all of a sudden they explode, and then they go for a period of time and they're good and they all of a sudden explode, they're showing you who they are. Believe them the first time. So is it normal to be angsty or anxious when somebody is changing behavior? Yeah, it is. But again, look to the actions. Look to the consistency. How constant are they in their behavior? So there it is. Okay. Okay. When terrible things abusers used to say to us keep reoccurring in our minds, could that be part of the grieving or a sign of missing them? Well, it could be, but it's also, I think, the inner child. So when a kid gets accused of something that they did not do, they are like, but it's not fair. But this is not true. So it's probably the inner child. So I would look to, did this happen in your family of origin? Does this spark something for when you were a little kid? Were you unjustly accused of things, or were you told things about yourself that were not true? And who does this really belong to? So again, at that point, the horrible things that they said, and they say some of the most vile, nasty, just you kiss your mother with that mouth. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they say some of the most horrible things ever, and they're intended to hurt. So when those pop back up in your mind, you're going to challenge them. You're going to write a go screw you letter, a go pound sand letter to the abuser. And you're going to write it out. Hey, you said this to me. Guess who you were really talking about? Yourself, mother clucker. You see where I'm going with that? Because that's usually what it is. Oh my God. Narcissists are insane, number one. But number two, every nasty, vile thing they say about you is really about them. Seriously, I'm not kidding you. They'll accuse their target of abuse of cheating, but the target of abuse isn't cheating. They're the cheater. They'll accuse the target of abuse of being ugly and horrible and vicious and this, that, and the other thing. Well, but it's not the target of abuse that's that way. It's the abuser. So remember, they project. So every rotten thing that they've ever said is really about them. Put it back to them. Chapter 3, CPTSD, From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. Put it back to them. It's not yours. That nasty thing that they said to you, that was about them. They're talking about themselves. Normal people do not seek to harm, hurt, or destroy. Let me be clear about that. Normal people do not seek to harm, hurt, or destroy. It is not their desire or want or need or intention. With abusers, they have to, because it's the ego. It's the ego. They are 100% ego, and all they want to do is hurt because they are just horrible human beings, and they want everyone else to feel as crappy as they do. So when those thoughts pop up, write them out, hand them back. Guess what, Mother Clucker? This was your thought. Oh, I'm a horrible person? Well, let's talk about what you've done. Shall we? Do not send it. Trot it out to the barbecue, read it out loud once, burn it, let it go. Yep. Best thing you can do for these jackwagons, never think of them again. Live your best life. Go have fun. Love yourself. So the polar opposite of whatever they said, you reaffirm to yourself who you really are. Mirror work. Hi, good to see you. Have a great day. You know what? You are enough. You know what? You are beautiful. You know what? You are kind. You know what? So everything they said, you reinforce what is really true, because they're talking everything nasty and negative. They're talking about themselves. Put it right back to them, because it's not yours. You put that luggage back on the carousel. It's not yours. Put it back. So hand it back off to them. Okay. Let's see. Okay. And I do think that's part of the inner child. I think it's that, but it's not true. So hand it back to them. It's not in there. And here's the thing, guys. I sometimes have people wanting to contact them to tell them all this stuff. Don't. You would have a deeper conversation with my screen thing back here than you would with a narcissist. They are never, you are not going to get closure from them. It doesn't exist. Not with them. You're not going to get what you're looking for. You're not. So the closure you have to get is within you. Seriously. So that's what I'm saying. Write and burn. Do not send this to them. All you're doing is handing them more ammunition. My dad and his first wife sent nasty letters back and forth to each other for 45 years. The week he died, he got one from her. And they were constantly recriminations and throwing things back at him. You did this and you did that and da-da-da-da. Do you think that ever solved anything? No. No. All it did was give them ammunition to keep it going because it was all ego. All ego. So what you're going to do is you're going to write it out, hand it back to them. Hey, that's not who I am. I know who I am. And who I am is good enough, beautiful. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be good enough. I'm aiming for the middle road and I'm going to live my best life. Go pound sand. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Do you see where I'm going with that? And then do the mirror work to reinforce who you really are, because who you really are is not who they told you were. So there is that. Okay. My ex-girlfriend told me that she would be the only one who would ever be together with me and that nobody else would be with me. Oh my gosh. Is that normal for abuse by the way I left? Oh, Lordy, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. So what abuse, this is another thing they say is we're breaking up with them, especially if we leave them. No one will ever love you. No one would ever put up with you. You'll never find anybody else like me. Well, God, I hope so, because you're a jerk. You know what I'm saying? They do that. They absolutely 110%. No one will ever love you. You'll never be with anyone else. I'm the penultimate. You're never going to find anybody. They're talking about themselves again. Here's the deal, guys. Unless the abuser can find somebody who is so low in their self-esteem that they're never going to leave, okay, they eventually get alone. The abuser, the old age homes are filled with them. I've told these stories 100,000 times. They're filled with collapsed narcissists, and that's going to be a topic in September that I'm going to talk about, is a collapsed narcissist. So they're the ones that are going to be alone. They're the ones who are not going to find anybody. They are the ones that are going to be miserable, and nobody's going to love them. Because by the time they hit middle age or older, everybody is done with their crap. Like, seriously, children, family, friends, they're done. They're done. It's like, I'm sick of the drama. I'm sick of the chaos. I'm sick of the lies. We're done. And they end up alone. They do. And so they're predicting their own fate is what they're doing. And again, they're projecting because that's their worst fear. They can't deal with it. They can't cope with it. So they're going to project it onto you. And in their little head, they're like, ha ha ha, you're going to be alone. Well, no. The abuser is going to be alone. Nobody's going to put up with them. When they reach a certain point in their life, when their looks are gone and the money is gone and they can't control and manipulate anymore, nope, sorry, nobody's going to put up with you. You are irrelevant. Have fun with that. And the ego can't handle that. So that's why they say things like that. So don't worry, you're fine. Go live your best life. Work on self-esteem. Work on self-esteem. And by the way, kudos for getting out of that relationship, because it is hard, not impossible, but it is hard. And do not believe any of the nasty things that they said, because they're throwing spaghetti at the wall to try to see what's going to stick, basically. So there that is. Okay, let's see. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing good. Okay, yes, that is very common with abusers. And yeah, especially the grandiose ones, because they can't, especially if you left, because it's like they can't conceive of somebody figuring them out because they think they're smarter than everybody else. And they also cannot conceive of somebody leaving them because they think they're smarter than everyone else and that they can manipulate and this, that, and the other thing. So they throw everything they can. So yeah, absolutely. The self-esteem workbook, I'm stuck. A chapter states that all humans are good at the core. I do not agree. I have a very pessimistic view of humans as a whole. How can I complete this book? Okay. Look at babies. Look at babies. Puppies, babies, kittens. We do not pop out of the womb dictators or nasty or vicious or horrible or awful or terrible or angst filled or anxious or depressed or anything else. Unfortunately, adults are the ones that do that to us. So at our core, and realize I'm coming from a Buddhist perspective. I'm practicing Buddhist, practicing Christian. Buddhist philosophy is my thing. So at our core is goodness, right? At the core of psychopaths and narcissists, probably not. But also realize psychopaths and narcissists generally don't seek to improve themselves. Psychopaths and narcissists only go to therapy if they're looking to manipulate, control, or doing it for a court reason or whatever. If you are doing the self-esteem workbook to improve yourself and to make yourself a better human being, congratulations, you have worth at your core. So gentle with you. Pessimism is a defense mechanism that helps when we are in a horrible situation. So if we expect the worst and it happens, then we're not disappointed, basically. But it doesn't work when we are away from that family of origin or out of that abuse and we're trying to heal. So you don't want toxic positivity either. Balance. Everything is balance. Everything is balance. Everything is balance. So come back to the idea that you have worth. If you are bettering yourself, you have worth. Narcissists and psychopaths, like I said, they're not really interested in healing. They're not really interested in changing. They're not really interested in growing. They have no desire to better themselves. They have no desire to relinquish control, and they'll never change. And that's why, because they're unwilling to get vulnerable. They're unwilling to let go of the ego. They're unwilling to have empathy or sympathy or anything else connecting truly to another human being. So yeah, people generally have to be taught to be complete jackwagons. Now then, again, we come back to the nature, nurture. I firmly believe, though, that with the dark triads and the full-blown narcissists, they're missing a cog. There's something wrong. There's something not there. They don't love the way we love. They don't feel the way we feel. They don't express or feel emotions the same way. So, get rid of the pessimism. It's served you in the past. So thank it. Here's the thing. All of our maladaptive behaviors at some point in time helped us. They did. At some point in time, they helped us. But now that we're getting healthy, they're not working anymore. So thank the pessimism. Don't hate it. Just thank you, pessimism. I see how you helped me in the past. And now I'm having to let you go because this is no longer working for me. So I get to see my worth. I get to have a glimmer of hope. I get to like myself and hopefully eventually love myself. I get to. So work on that. All right, my loves, we are just about out of time. I think that was the last question. Yes, it was. So next week, what is next week? Next week, what am I working on next week? I don't even remember what the topic is. Oh Lord, I'm so bad. I'll announce it on Wednesday because I can brain gone. So anyway, so it'll be a topic and I don't know what it is. But anyway, have a great week. Remember, if you are watching social media and it is making you feel like doo-doo, stop watching it and realize they're showing you exactly what they want you to see. So don't compare yourself. Remember, comparison is something that narcissists teach us, is that we're always in competition and we're always comparing. So don't compare yourself. So in healing from an abusive relationship, you're not over them because of all of the things that they have done. Because of all of the manipulation, all of the egg beater in your head going with the cognitive dissonance and the devaluing the discard and the love bombing and the, and falling in love with the potential. So do read The Fantasy Bond by Robert Firestone and Self-Esteem Workbook, Glenn Schiraldi, Disease to Please, Harriet Breaker. Other than that, you guys have a great week. Take good care of yourselves. Remember, I will be in San Diego on the 2nd. No. Yes. Third, I think that Saturday, that Labor Day weekend. So I will be in San Diego. If you do buy tickets, remember, I will send you the location after you've bought the tickets. So, all right, my loves. Oh, and I'm going to be in Honolulu. Duh. I'm going to be in Honolulu the end of September. I'll get those dates out sometime today. So, all right. Okay, my loves, have a great week, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.